Hey, welcome back to Digi Bro.
This is what I would say is the only parts of the game that are a little tedious to me and redundant. Because you have to go around collecting all these bugs, and the real point of it is to like get you totally familiar with the areas, especially when some of the later areas.
But you're viewing the areas in this weird, sickly
you're looking at
vignette.
it in this like this Twilight mode, which I mean you can turn that off, but when you're attacking the bugs, you put it on. And then you just end up kind of leaving it odd.
I hate the look, and it makes it more confusing because like it's hard to learn the area when it's like all fucking weird. I also hate that when you're a wolf, everything is even more bloom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only parts of the game where I'm like, yeah, they could have done without this, you know. It's like most of the point of the wolf is doing these, you know, searching for bugs. It's not so bad.
You know, maybe I would like this game more if I didn't think of it as a Zelda game. I just thought of it as a game.
Yeah, if you just played the fucking game for what it is.
Well, just because, like, everything, like, I don't really care that much for the aesthetic of the game or the controls, but I mostly, it's because, like, I sit there and go, like, oh, well, you know, this is how it felt in Wind Waker.
So you compare it to too much other shit. It's like I'm not really comparing it to other Zelda games, I'm just, like, playing it.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that, like, this is not just me. People have a tendency to enjoy something more if they have no expectations for it and don't connect it to anything. Where, like for instance, Give and Take, when he was ragging on the Uncharted games, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I get why he'd be mad at those games because it's Naughty Dog who previously made Jack
but
and Daxter.
he's ragging on them like as Naughty Dog games.
Right, where he was like,
well, you can't think of them like that because it's not what they are.
Like, he loved Jack and Daxter and all that stuff, but like, I could totally see Given like enjoying some like dumb shitty game that like isn't really anything special, but you enjoy it just like because like, oh, it's kind of fun, you know, like. Yeah. And to me, like Uncharted felt like I never thought of it as like, oh, it's the new game from the Jack and Daxter people, or oh, it's this brilliant
I did kind of feel
game.
that way when like Resistance came out, and I was just like, this is the new Insomniac game,
right?
Like, really? But then, you know, I still enjoyed them as their own games. It's just like you couldn't think of it as like this is like this is our replacement for Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, it's like a shit. What was I gonna fucking bring up? Right, because the thing about Uncharted, like, Uncharted 2 and 3 were both, like, insanely popular, right? And they all got, like, crazy critical praise. Like, Uncharted 2 was on a lot of, like, Game of the Year lists and stuff, and that made it, like, super big. But, like, Uncharted 1, I had never heard of, like, when I played it.
Really? I thought Donson had it.
Yeah, that's why I played it, because Donson had it. Yeah. I never heard of it. Like,
well, because we weren't in the PS3 either.
Because it was a launch title for the PS3. No one had a PS3 when that game came out. Because the PS3 was a slow starter for sales. Like, it eventually caught up with the 360, but it came out so late and it was so expensive, and it had, like, no games. For, like, a whole year, the PS3 had, like, no games.
That's why we never bought one. We were just like, oh, PS3 sucks shit.
Right. It eventually gained a ton of games and became... Because that console life cycle went for so long. But, like... It had nothing at first, and people were ragging on it all the time. And, like, because no one had it... Like, the same thing with, like, Heavenly Sword. Like, no one played Heavenly Sword, because it was a launch title for the PS3, and no one had a PS3, you know? Yep. It's like, I had never heard of Uncharted at all, but our friend Donson had a PS3 from the beginning, and he got Uncharted, like, fairly early. And he never even beat it, because it got too scary for him. Because back then, he was, like, super afraid of, like, anything with the... like
didn't even want to deal with it.
And when it got to the zombie part, he was just like,
it just,
nope,
like, pissed him
done.
off.
So
I always forget they always have like that weird horror aspect at some point, or like the freaky monsters.
Yeah, it always turns.
It's always really cool because you don't expect it, and that's what made it awesome.
Well, you do if you like have ever seen an Indiana Jones movie.
But it's, you know, it's just like when I was initially playing Uncharted, it's like I didn't expect it to take this zombie twist.
Right. But yeah, like I'd never heard of it, so I wasn't coming to it like, oh, this is the game that everyone's talking about. This is the hype game that everyone cares about. I was just like, huh, what the hell is this game? I like it, you know, like, it was pretty, it was probably the best looking game I'd ever seen at the time.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it had by far the most like movie like cutscenes, which at that time was something that was impressive. You know, like now people rag on cinematic games like crazy because, you know, it's about the gameplay, not about the cinematics. But back then it was just like, whoa, they like mocapped whole scenes on sets and stuff.
I loved cinematics as a kid. Like I thought it was fucking cool.
Yeah,
because it's a video game that has like cutscenes in it.
You know, if you were an RPG player like I was, like the cinematics were the reward for what you had done. You know, like you played to earn the cinematic
to get to the next cutscene.
Yeah, because you wanted to know the story. So at Uncharted, I mean, I didn't like love the story in Uncharted, but I just thought it was so well done, and I'd never seen something like that in a game before. You know, and like it was just kind of like, wow, this is really cool, and it was fun. And like I said, I was able to, you know, like master the arenas and master the controls and everything and just be like a badass at it. So it's the first game I ever got 100% on. Collected all the trophies, beat it on all the difficulties, and had a good ass time. It was a short enough game that I could play through it all the way without getting fucking bored and caught up in other shit, you know. So yeah, I liked it. And I think if you came to it with the perspective of like, because when I played Uncharted 2, it had a reputation by the time I played it. Like, people were fucking heralding it as this amazing game. And then when I played it, I didn't think it was any better than the first game.
Yeah.
Like, I had enjoyed the first game more because it had a lot more shooting and a lot less, like big fucking, like, cinematic platforming segments where, you know, it's like, oh, you have to do this thing. It's like, because in Uncharted 2, there's like the part where the train falls off the cliff, right? And you have to climb up the train. And it's like, oh man, it's so cool because you're falling from a train. It's like such an interesting scenario, but it's like the most linear platforming imaginable.
Yeah.
And like in Uncharted 1, the platforming was basically just there to break up the shooting. You know, it's just like something you did in between shooting shit. But like in the second game, it was like, you know, these like long platforming segments that just weren't that interesting, and so like I had enjoyed the first game more, but the third one was ass. God damn, it was ass. It was ass. Ass. Because all it was fucking taking the control away from you constantly to show you some event they had planned, you know, like, oh, now you gotta walk through this little tight corridor, which means that you move slowly now, and this like, and it's always like a 1 second thing, you know, like it just changes the controls to something that doesn't feel good, or it changes the way that the characters move. And Mass Effect 3 did the same shit, and it pissed me off so much. And Tomb Raider 2013 was the worst about it. I love that Tomb Raider game.
That game was awesome, but
except
Jesus
for
Christ.
that, because it would get into like every level would end with some like, oh, now you're running away from falling debris and quick time and blah blah. It's like, this has nothing to do with what makes the game fun. What made the game fun was great controls, a great environment to use those controls in, and tons of hidden shit. You just walked around and you found hidden shit, and it was fun and awesome. And then suddenly you're in the quick time event. It was lame.
Yes. Do. These things are fucking crazy. Boom! Wrecked. And they fucking explode. I almost got all the dudes, the shiny beetles.
What I would love, though, is if Tomb Raider 2013, what would have been perfect, would have been if they just had, when a scripted sequence starts, you press start and you skip it.
Uh-huh.
Because you could do that for the cutscenes. Like, if we're going to make parts of the game skippable, why not make those parts skippable, you know? Because they're just fucking scripted sequences. It's not like it's a fucking skill test of what you do in the game, you know? Because I skipped all the cutscenes in that game because they were fucking weak.
Yeah, they were pretty lame.
The voice acting
pretty campy
was
bullshit.
Intolerable. You saved the monkey girl. She's monkey. What a monkey. Hey, we're the monkeys.
That was interesting. The voice actress for Lara Croft in that game, like, did the motion capture for the character too, And like the character model is pretty much looks exactly like her.
That's what they did in the Uncharted games.
Yeah. Just kind of neat the way they do that. It's almost like it's just a movie.
Oh man. I think we've got enough for...
Oh no, I mean, it's just a little ghosty thing now because I'm back to a person and everything's cool.
No, we don't. We need one more to make it through to come.
See you, Midna. Get the fuck out.
Get
out
the
of my
fuck
fucking
out!
game. Yay! Oh shit, wait for this squirrel motherfucker.
Squirrel?
Wait, check it out.
Is it a squirrel?
Something like that. Boom! Fucking rad.
I'd call that a squirrel.
We got the long tail. Boom! The fucking Chinese myth squirrel.
It's very Princess Mononoke Okami
Yes.
ish.
My name is Farron. The realest squirrel on the block.
This game is such a like weird melding of like different stylistic elements. Like the Dark World looks nothing like the world, and then this thing is like some Mononoke shit. It's just like all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes, I am Link now. The green tunic, it looks fucking cool, man. I like all the chainmail on it. Yes. Your name is Assquake. You're the hero chosen by the gods.
I guess in a way, it makes a lot more sense to have a variety of design mechanics, because like, why would a world all look one style?
And I mean, the Twilight style is meant to be the polar opposite, you know.
It's kind of like a Final Fantasy VII. It's like so shocking when you leave the main city, like the first city in the game, because you're only there, Midgar, I think is what it's called. You're only in Midgar for about like 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
And like you spend so, but I mean that feels like a long time when you're playing it. Like you feel like that's the whole game, because there's 9 sectors and you only go to 2 of them, and so you play through those 2 sectors and then you beat it, and like this big crazy thing happens, and then you have to leave town and you don't go back.
Wow.
So like you play 7 hours in like this futuristic dystopian town, and then you're just in this huge fantasy world all of a sudden, and you're like, oh,
I feel like that's a part of the game I would enjoy a lot more.
Is actually a fantasy game, like, and the rest of the world is nothing like Midgar. Like none of it is a cyberpunk dystopia.
Never even knew.
The entire rest of the game is like a Final Fantasy game. You know? So yeah, it's a pretty odd moment when you suddenly realize you're in a normal world, or like a steampunk.
Normal land. I have
steampunk.
traveled to normal land, where normalcy is normal. Things are quite okay.
That's part of what I liked about 9, though. Is that
Yes.
it was a lot more consistent.
Feels so fucking rad in my tunic. Fuck yeah. Boom. Fuck you. Fucking wasted.
You need to play
That's
Final
Grand
Fantasy
Theft
9.
Auto.
I think you'd like that game. Well, I don't know if you get past turn-based battles, but like
Oh, it's hard to go back.
the
I
aesthetic.
picked up
of that
Bravely
game is
Default
great.
the other day, and I was like, I can't get back into this. Like, I just don't enjoy it.
I don't know.
If I put it on easy mode, maybe I could get through it.
In the last week, I played through the first like hour or so of 3 different JRPGs. And I quickly realized that you really have to be willing to immerse yourself.
Yeah.
Because, like, I tried to play Shadow Hearts Covenant.
You have to be ready to play the whole fucking thing. Like,
Well, like, I
gotta
played
be
like
into it.
45 minutes of Shadow Hearts Covenant while I was listening to Biggest Problem in the Universe.
Yeah.
And I just could not get into the atmosphere of the game at all. And then I was playing Final Fantasy VII while I was watching Star Trek The Next Generation, because the season 1 of that show is abysmal. And
Star Trek Next Gen?
yeah,
I watched
the
a few
first 2
episodes of season
seasons
one. I thought it was alright.
suck.
I guess that explains why I got bored with it. And
Yeah,
stopped.
my friend Neil has been trying to get me to watch the show forever, and he made me a list of like the must-see episodes where he was like, he basically was saying that seasons 1 and 2 are ass, and then they changed writers and it got amazing for season 3 onward. So like the first 2 seasons you just kind of gotta struggle through, and like there's certain episodes that you need to see just to understand the continuity and to like get into the characters and stuff. So he made me a list of like the must-watch episodes, but even those ones are just like, they're just so corny. Like all the acting is super corny, all the plot lines are like way too drawn out. Like it's like storylines that could have been a 15-minute episode that is a 45-minute episode, you know. And yeah, it's just really cheesy and hard to watch. So I was trying to play Final Fantasy VII at the same time, but once again, it was just like, I'm not appreciating the story because I'm concentrating on something else, and like, you know, like I can't get into the cyberpunk vibe and have the music playing and stuff like that. So then I tried to play Persona 3, and I was having a good time aesthetically, but the voice acting in that game.
Oh god, is it dub voice acting?
Yeah, you can't change it from the dub. And I will say, Mitsuru, the red-haired girl, her voice does things to my dick that are inappropriate. Yeah. The voice is great. But your best friend guy is played by Vic Mignogna.
Fuck my ass.
And god, I want to strangle him.
Vic Mignogna.
Vic Mignogna is terrible. I don't care. I don't care how fine he was as Edward Elric.
And then he's really not. You go back and you watch it, you're like, okay,
yeah, he's not as good as everyone remembers. But like, God, he's terrible as anyone. Because what made him like passable as Edward Elric is that Ed was like 13.
Yes. And
he was like a brat, so it fit his character to sound like a child. Everyone else he plays just sounds like this nasally fucking bitch that you just want to slap the shit out of. And like,
Jesus,
God, he just will ruin anything. So like, I couldn't take his voice. And there were some bad actors in there. Like some people who were just like, nice. Like how can you even read a script that badly? So in spite of how sexy Mitsuru's voice was, I had to turn off the audio for dialogue. And then because our PS2 doesn't work anymore, I'm trying to play this game on an emulator with the disc because I own the game.
Yeah.
So I've got a Blu-ray drive now, and I'm playing it through that on an emulator, but it has a hard time, man. It's not the easiest thing to run, because like every time it starts, it's one of those games that masks its loading screen by having the music play. So like it'll say like a thing will pop up that says day 2, like while it's loading the next scene, and the music will still be playing over that. Well, when it's loading, it chugs, and so the music slows down. And so you get these, like, weird, stupid slowdown moments. And that's part of why I turned off the voice acting, because it would slow down in the middle of sentences and, like, make it sound all fucked up and warped. So, which, I mean, I don't want to play it without the sound, because it's one of, like, the best game soundtracks is Persona 3. A soundtrack I've heard hundreds of times, and I really know and, like, you know, feel at home with. So but the cutscenes in that game are just literally Serial Experiments Lane mixed with Boogie Pop Phantom. Like it's just like when I don't know how I didn't notice this when I played it as a kid, because I was big into those shows, but like maybe I just thought there was a lot of stuff like that. But it really is like it's just straight up Lane and Boogie Pop. Which is understandable, because the guy who did the character designs for Boogie Pop series was the guy who did the Persona character designs. So like, that's a very safe comparison. But the amount of feeling like Lane in the early cutscenes is like amazing. Even the sound design is very Lane-esque. Yeah, it was pretty alright.
Sounds cool. I never got to the combat in that game.
Really? It's only like an hour.
Playing it.
If that, actually. You played a little bit of combat.
It's like, oh, I have to, like, read tons and tons of shit.
Yeah, but it's an RPG. That's, like, the point.
But, game just seems like a lot of work to me.
The stuff in between combat is what I like about Persona games.
Exactly. Which is why I don't play them.
The fun part is, like, talking to all the people and learning all their stories and shit. Anyway, next time on Digi Bros.
Hey, we're almost at the Forest Temple.